Ethan Miller carried himself like a man who had everything under control. To the world, he was a millionaire with influence and power, someone who could bend situations to his will with the stroke of a pen or a firm handshake. Yet when it came to his daughter, he often felt powerless. Lily, his 8-year-old, was his world, but the accident that had left her bound to a wheelchair had also left an invisible wound in him. He blamed himself for not protecting her, for not being able to restore her childhood to what it once was. That rainy evening, when Lily begged him for pancakes from a small corner diner, Ethan was tempted to say no. His time was crammed with meetings, calls, and deadlines. But one look at her wide, pleading eyes melted his resistance. So, he drove her there, half thinking it would just be a quick stop before he returned to his empire. The diner was nothing like the luxurious restaurants he was used to. The booths were worn, the menu laminated and slightly peeling at the edges. But Lily's face lit up when she saw the colorful chalkboard of specials, and that alone made the trip worth it. Ethan settled her into a booth, ordered her food, and excused himself briefly to take a business call outside. When he returned, the sight before him froze him in place. Lily was not sitting alone, fiddling with her spoon as he expected. Instead, a young waitress knelt beside her, spooning warm soup with such patience and gentleness that it made his chest tighten. She wasn't hurried, wasn't treating Lily as if she were fragile or a burden. She was speaking to her like a friend, her laughter soft and unforced, her smile reaching all the way to her eyes. Ethan watched silently, struck by the transformation in his daughter. Lily's giggles filled the small space, brighter than he had heard in months. She leaned into the woman's kindness with ease, her face glowing with joy that Ethan's wealth had failed to summon. He took a step closer, listening to the rhythm of their voices blending, as if they had known each other far longer than the few minutes they had shared. The waitress, Emma, as her name tag revealed, dabbed gently at Lily's chin with a napkin when a drop of soup slipped. She didn't hesitate, didn't make it awkward. It was natural, like she had been born to care in this way. Ethan felt something he couldn't name stir inside him, a quiet crack forming in the shell he had built around his heart since the accident. Lily looked up and saw him then, her eyes sparkling with a happiness he hadn't seen in far too long. "Daddy," she said, her voice bubbling with excitement, "Miss Emma makes the soup taste even better." For the first time in months, Ethan didn't know whether to smile or to cry. Ethan hadn't expected to return to that little diner so soon, yet only a few days later, he found himself pulling into the same parking lot with Lily in the backseat. He told himself it was for her, that she deserved to go where she felt happy. But deep down, he knew there was another reason, a pair of warm brown eyes and a gentle smile that lingered in his mind more than he cared to admit. As soon as they walked in, Lily searched the floor with eager eyes. When she spotted Emma across the room, balancing a tray of plates with practiced ease, her whole face lit up. "There she is," she whispered excitedly, as if they had just found a hidden treasure. Ethan followed her gaze and, against his own will, felt a flicker of relief at the sight of her too. Emma came over almost instantly, her tiredness hidden behind the brightness she seemed to carry with her. She knelt down to greet Lily, not Ethan, which made him pause. Most people looked past his daughter, speaking to him instead, but Emma made Lily the center of her attention. She asked about school, about her favorite games, and even remembered how much she liked extra syrup on her pancakes. It was such a small detail, yet it meant the world. Over the next week, their visits became more frequent. Lily insisted on it, and Ethan never found a reason to deny her. Each time, he learned something new about Emma. She worked long shifts, but her energy never dimmed when it came to his daughter. She always made Lily laugh, sometimes by drawing silly faces on napkins, other times by inventing little games with the sugar packets on the table. Watching them together, Ethan realized he hadn't heard his daughter's laughter echo like that in far too long. But he also noticed the quiet struggles Emma tried to hide. Her shoes were worn thin, her hands calloused from endless work. A fellow waitress once mentioned she was juggling 2 jobs, saving every cent for her younger brother's medical bills. Ethan said nothing, but the knowledge settled in his chest like a weight. How could someone with so little give so much? One evening, as they drove home, Lily leaned her head against the car window and sighed dreamily. "Daddy, Miss Emma makes me feel like I'm not different. She makes me feel like I'm just me." Her words hit him harder than he expected. All the therapists, the expensive programs, the endless specialists he had hired, none of them had given Lily that sense of normalcy. Yet here was a young woman, barely scraping by, offering his daughter something priceless without even realizing it. Ethan tightened his grip on the steering wheel, a thought rising unbidden, one he couldn't shake no matter how hard he tried. For the first time, he wondered if this waitress was not just changing Lily's world, but his own as well. The weeks blended into a rhythm Ethan hadn't known he craved. Work still demanded him, meetings still filled his calendar, but there was a quiet anticipation that carried him through the day, the evenings at the diner. What had started as Lily's insistence became his own unspoken need. Watching his daughter's eyes brighten whenever Emma appeared was something no contract, no deal, no amount of wealth had ever given him. Emma had a way of making Lily forget the weight of her wheelchair. She encouraged her to try holding the fork herself, praised her when she managed even the smallest bites, and never once looked impatient when the progress was slow. Sometimes, she would make silly faces just to coax a smile, and Ethan couldn't help but notice how naturally his daughter responded. What surprised him even more was the ease with which Emma included him too. She didn't treat him like the intimidating millionaire people usually saw. Around her, he felt disarmed, almost ordinary, and for the first time in years, he welcomed that feeling. One evening, after Lily had fallen asleep in her chair, her head resting against the cushion, Ethan lingered. He watched Emma wipe down the counter, humming softly to herself. The thought of leaving without saying what was on his mind gnawed at him. Gathering courage, he walked over. "Emma," he began, his voice lower than he intended, "I don't know how to thank you. You've done more for my daughter than I could ever repay." She looked up, startled, then smiled lightly. "You don't need to thank me. She's special. I enjoy spending time with her." Her simplicity disarmed him further. "Still," he pressed, "I mean it, if there's anything I can do for you, anything at all, just tell me." For a moment, her expression faltered, the brightness dimming as though a shadow passed over her. She looked down at the rag in her hands. "If you really want to do something," she whispered, "then don't take Lily away from me. I know she's not mine, but being around her, it reminds me there's still light in the world. And I need that more than I can explain." Her words hit him like a quiet confession, a glimpse into the struggles she carried but never voiced. He didn't pry, but the vulnerability in her tone stayed with him long after he left the diner. He saw her differently now, not just as the kind waitress who had touched his daughter's life, but as someone carrying her own burdens with remarkable strength. That night, as he tucked Lily into bed, her small hand curled around his, Ethan realized what was happening. Emma wasn't just giving his daughter hope. She was slowly, unexpectedly, reaching into the guarded corners of his own heart. And he knew, with absolute clarity, that he was falling. It was a quiet evening when the fragile balance shifted. Ethan had brought Lily to the diner again, but this time Emma's smile was strained. She moved quickly, her hands trembling as she poured coffee for a table nearby. Ethan noticed, though she tried to hide it. When her phone rang, she slipped into the back, and for the first time, Ethan saw tears glisten in her eyes as she disappeared through the swinging door. Later, when the rush calmed, he overheard her whispering by the counter. Her voice was broken, desperate. "Please, just give him what he needs, I'll find a way to pay. Don't stop his treatment." She hung up and wiped her face, forcing a smile as she turned back toward the floor. Ethan's chest tightened. He didn't need to ask, he already knew. This was about her brother. The boy she worked herself ragged for, the one she never complained about, the one she sacrificed everything to protect. That night, after dropping Lily home and tucking her into bed, Ethan made a call. The same determination that had built his empire now channeled into something entirely different. By morning, Emma's brother had the best specialists and his medical bills were covered, all arranged quietly under Ethan's name. Days later, Emma found out. She stormed out of the kitchen mid-shift, apron still tied, and approached his table where Lily sat happily munching pancakes. Her eyes were wet, her voice shaking. "Why did you do it?" Ethan looked up at her, steady and calm. "Because you've given my daughter something I couldn't. You gave her back her laughter. You gave her a piece of her childhood. And Emma," he paused, his words softening, "you gave me something too. A chance to believe we're more than the pain we carry." She tried to argue, tried to tell him she didn't want charity, but he gently shook his head. "This isn't charity, it's gratitude. It's more than that." At that moment, Lily tugged at Emma's sleeve, her voice bright and innocent. "Miss Emma, don't cry. Daddy says happy tears are okay." She reached up and hugged her with small arms, as if sealing something between them that words couldn't. Emma sank into the booth beside Lily, her resolve breaking, her heart too full to hold back. She looked at Ethan through the blur of her tears, seeing not the millionaire everyone else did, but a man, just a man, who loved his daughter fiercely and was learning, piece by piece, to love again. That night, the diner no longer felt like just a stop along the way. It felt like the beginning of something neither of them had dared to hope for. Ethan had found more than kindness in Emma. He had found the missing piece of his family. And from then on, none of their lives would ever be the same.